Good morning. This is Michelle Caron at Harmony Way, and I'm going to take you on a little August 1st garden walk in 2020. So the plant that we're currently looking at is borage. This is a wonderful herb. The flowers are edible, and they're yummy and very nice in salads or as a decoration on baked goods. You can see the bees and the butterflies and the moths absolutely love this plant. It gets these very pretty blue flowers. You can see maybe if I zoom in here. Excuse me, bee, I'm sorry. There we go. And it's sometimes called starflower because if you look at the shape, it looks like a star. It's a very pretty color. This is some cilantro that has gone to flower. And this is a culinary herb, but it also has medicinal properties. Most of the herbs that we use for foods as flavoring agents are actually very medicinal as well. And we're going to see some more of these. So here's one. This is some dill that's also gone to flower and to seed. So you can see these are the flowers. And then here's a frond. And then behind that is some marshmallow. And marshmallow is a soothing, mucilaginous, demulcent plant. Now, the whole plant is edible. Frequently, we use the roots as medicine, but the flowers are edible, the leaves are edible too, and it's a really, really helpful plant. Next to that, now I didn't plant this one. This is St. John's wort, and you can see I also have St. John's wort over here. St. John's wort tends to do that. It just shows up, and it's a wonderful garden friend to have because it's a plant that is really good for things like burns and sun damage. It's very anti-aging when we use it topically, and internally it acts very much like our modern antidepressants over time. I don't know if you can hear the buzzing. It's just bees everywhere on the borage and on all the herbs. Next to that we have some nettle, which is flowering and going to seed. The seeds are edible on nettle. We wouldn't typically eat the flowers. And this is too tall now for me to be collecting it as food or medicine. So, but I could certainly use those seeds. Everything is a bit dry because we've had some drought conditions this summer and it's been quite hot. Let's see if we can sneak a peek without disturbing the bees too badly at some lemon balm that's basically being eaten by the borage and some cucumbers. So here's lemon balm. And lemon balm is delicious. It's one of my favorite tea herbs. It's very tasty. It's in the mint family. It's not in flower yet. And this giant plant, if you look, there's a leaf and there's a flower. This is cucumber. So there are some cucumbers that are ready to be picked. I've got some Swiss chard growing in and among the cucumber and the borage. This is some arugula, two different varieties of arugula that have gone to bolts, so they've gone to flower. This is some baby kale. Here are some collard greens, some celery. This is a baby sage plant. These are violet leaves growing in and among everything that has made its way into the garden. Violet is another lovely ally, and you can see there's tons of all these things sticking up here, these kind of brownish flowers. The bees love these too. This is plantain, and if you look at the leaf, it looks very lance-like. So this one is Plantago lanceolata. And this is lavender. So here we are in the garden looking at lavender, which has already flowered. Here's some more plantain. So I'll get a look at that whole plant for you. And I don't mind these weeds. They're not really weeds to me. They're plant allies. Over here you can see I have red clover growing. There's a lot of that in this garden. This is pineapple sage. Now if you rub a leaf and you smell it, it's very much a smell of pineapple. That's how it got its name. And sage in general, it's really good for sore throats. It's great for menopause, for people getting hot flashes. These are some chives over here. This is peppermint. Delicious peppermint, cooling diaphoretic peppermint. And then along the border here we have, this is plain old culinary thyme. This is oregano that's going to flower. It's a very pretty little flower. Some of it is not flowering yet. This is another variety of thyme, and it's called, it's a red thyme. The flowers are actually a pinkish color, if you can see that. This is another thyme plant, and this one is winter thyme, and it is really a creeper. You can see, and there's grass growing up. I need to weed coming up through that. And then another little winter thyme. And then next to that in a pot, because it's not really intended for this zone, it'll have to be brought in the winter time after the first frost. This is rosemary, so culinary rosemary. And here's a beautiful example of Plantago lanceolata. So this is a beautiful plantain plant, and plantain, I'll do another video about plantain because I love it so much. We have two kinds that grow here in the Northeast in the United States. We have Plantago lanceolata, which is what you are looking at, and we have one that has a little bit shorter, rounder, more succulent leaves, and there's a seed pod that comes up the entire way, and that is Plantago majora. These can be used interchangeably, and the leaves are edible, the seeds are edible, and it's a wonderful wound healer. It can be taken internally with all kinds of benefits too, and it's worth its own video. And I'm going to show you how much the bees love it. There's one right now having a snack. I think it's gathering pollen from this one. And here's another rosemary and another thyme, and this winter thyme is in full bloom. Here's another thyme. This is red thyme. And you can see it's a bit more tall than the others. This next to the winter thyme compared to that. Here's another oregano in full bloom, a very prolific plantain plant. Another oregano and another culinary thyme. Now next to this you can see I have a couple different types of mustards that have gone to bolt. They've gone to flower and seed. And these pods have wonderful seeds that the birds like, but they're also edible for us. We just have to find them when they're a little bit dried out. So here's one that looks just about ready. And if I were to rub this around, you can see little seeds come out. Now that's not quite ready because that seed is still green. Those will be brown when they're ready. And once they get dried out, they turn this brownish color. Here we have peas. I have a couple that are ready to be picked, and you can see a lot of the peas have gone by. And this is a great nitrogen fixer for the soil, but these are looking kind of dry and sad between the drought and having gone by and done their thing already. Coming over here, I wonder if you know this plant. A lot of people think that it's plain old ordinary sunflower. It is in the same family. It's in the Asteraceae family. This is calendula, and here's a beautiful blossom. And this is a neat plant because you can see most of these are closed right now. As the sun comes out today, these are going to open just like this one is starting to do. They'll open up and then they'll close again at nighttime. And calendula, we use the flowers and the petals. They're edible, they're highly nutritious, but they're primarily used in skincare. They're really good for skincare. And this is motherwort that's not flowering yet. Motherwort is a really great ally plant for nervousness and sleeplessness and tension and menopause and all kinds of other things. It's sometimes used in labor as well. And it's a really bitter tasting plant. It's frequently tinctured, but it's a great one. Here's another, this is Mizuna, this type of mustard green. These are some Asian broccoli plants, and the leaves are totally edible on those. And then here we have some dry bush beans that again mostly have gone by and dried out at this point. And these, when they turn a kind of reddish, a bit more like this one's not quite ready. They'll get a little reddish tinge. There's this beautiful purpley black bean that grows inside, and it's an orca variety, and they're delicious. This is a tomato plant that I did not plant. It showed up probably through my compost, and it appears to be a stripy, wonderful heirloom variety, and there you can see some peas peeking through there. Sorry for the shaky camera. I'm going to bring you over into one of the other gardens. Now we have two little orchard areas here at Harmony Way as well. So here's some more red clover. This area is kept a bit more wild. Over here we have red currants. Okay, 3 red currant plants. These over here along this fence are Concord grapes. And this one has grapes on it. These were all planted this year. This is just a regular zucchini plant. You can see the flower. Some more red clover, a lot of plantain. There's an elecampane plant over there, and there's some mullein. You can't see it. And another zucchini, which was a compost bonus. Behind that is burdock. Now, burdock, oh, there's a very loud bee. I'll let you listen to that. 2 bees pollinating some zucchini. Oh my goodness, they're having a feast. And of course, the shape of that flower amplifies their little buzzing noises. It's very cute. So burdock over here, we typically use the root as medicine. However, the leaves, when they're very young, are also edible. The leaves and shoots can be a food. And then coming over here, there were beets in these pots. There were golden beets. They've gone by. We've eaten them. They were very good. So you can see coming back down the path with all the thyme and the oregano. And there's all the cucumber climbing the fence. I'll bring you over. You can see how dry the grass is right now. Here are some orchard areas at Harmony Way. So this is a Montmorency cherry. So it's a tart cherry. It was planted this year. It had a few cherries, but of course the birds ate them because we didn't cover it up. And here's another Montmorency cherry. And then we have Sambucus canadensis, which is an American elder. And with American elder, and there are tomato plants that have come in through the compost as well. Here's a really tall one. These were planted this year. And Sambucus canadensis is actually indigenous to the United States. Sambucus nigra is the variety we most think of when we hear about black elderberry. That's a European cultivar of this type of plant. This one also has black elderberries on it, but it is the one that actually is from the United States. The berries, if they're cooked or dried, can be used in syrups, teas, jams, jellies, all kinds of sauces and things, and probably even pies if you strain the seeds out. But they're not to be eaten raw. The flowers are used in teas and sometimes made into fritters or pancakes. And normally, if these were older plants, they'd have these big creamy flowers that were starting to turn into little droops of berries at this point. But because these were just planted, they don't have that yet. And they will most likely next year, though. And elder likes to have wet feet. It likes nitrogen-rich soil. You'll frequently see it growing along the side of the road in ditches where the water accumulates. Over here, I'll just bring you on a quick little rendezvous. Over here, I wonder if you know this plant. It's sometimes referred to as purple coneflower. This is a medicinal plant. This is Echinacea purpurea. Very easy to grow. There's also Echinacea angustifolia, which is a little bit tougher to grow, but they're both wonderful ally plants. And then we have some cosmos for the pollinators. Very pretty little cosmos, but Echinacea attracts all kinds of pollinators as well. Coming across the lawn, you can see there's a big bird net here, a mesh bird net. And this is covering a few different things. Here's what's left of the strawberries from this year. You can see the leaves down there. And this is a hazel. There's another hazel next to it that's underneath the covers. Underneath here we have some blueberries, and we have low bush cranberries. We also have cramp bark, also known as high bush cranberry, plum trees, Rosa rugosa. I believe we have a pear tree or two, and then the 2 tallest points here are apple trees. So we have 2 heirloom varieties of apple trees. We had to cover them because the deer were going by and eating all the fruits. We had it full of fruits, and now we're down to 5. There's also some rhubarb in here as well. And you can hear all of the crickets and the birds and the bees. Aha! Oh, what have we here? Are we starting to get some little hazelnut flowers? This plant is about 3 years old, and typically within 3 to 4 years you will see flowers that come out typically in the fall. They mature, and you pick hazelnuts in the fall or after the first frost in this area. So I'm very excited because this should be the year that, at least from this bigger, more successful bush, that we get some hazelnuts. And hazelnuts, like all the nuts, have wonderful health qualities. So this is this rather messy garden, which is full of herbs. with a few vegetables strewn in, is what's happening right now. A lot of things have been harvested. We had turnips and some other plants and herbs, and like I said, we had beets that were harvested, and some other plants, spinach, which has gone by. When the hot weather comes, a lot of things start to bolt, just like you can see this arugula did, right? Things will bolt, and then the flavor changes. It's not as good, and it's not producing as many leaves because it's focused on planting seeds for itself. So you get these seed pods on a plant like arugula. It looks very much like the mustard seed pods. They're brassicas. And broccoli seed pods sometimes look like this as well, certain varieties of it. So this is a brassica. It's very mustardy and pungent, much like the mustard plants. And this plant is sometimes called rocket in the UK. It's called rocket. And you can see we have leaves that look like this on it. And we have leaves that look like this and that. And then we have leaves that look like this, right? Different varieties. We planted a couple different varieties, and all these cucumber flowers are probably, because the bees are so busy this year in this garden, they're loving it, probably going to be more cucumbers. In 2 weeks, we've pulled 45 cucumbers out of this patch from 3 or 4 plants, which is not what I expected. And these 3 or 4 plants have gone, as you can see, a little wild. And I am okay with that. It's been a lot of fun seeing this plant grow. It's my first really successful attempt with cucumbers. I have grown them before, but I'm definitely more of an herb person. And you can see that just from all the plants that I've been showing you. Both culinary and medicinal herbs are usually what I grow. So I hope that you've enjoyed this little garden walk. It's kind of a rambling garden walk with some shaky camera action. And there's a bunny right there, always within view of the garden. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can zoom in. There it is. There she is. It's a little bunny. Not even phased that I'm out here. The bunnies are very unbothered. They're used to us being out and about in the yard and the garden. Not even the littlest bit alarmed. So enjoy the rest of your day or evening, depending upon what time it is. And I'll leave you with this one more image of these cute little bees, if I can find them. There they are, in the plantain, having a blast getting pollen from the plantain. Here's another one really desperately scrounging some pollen from the edges. So I hope you enjoy your day or your night. And take care, and thank you for joining me on this plant walk through the gardens in August in Harmony Ways Garden. Take care.